So with trauma, it's important to look at the brain. This will give some context around where the behavior is coming from. It also helps with both young people and moms understanding, well, what's happening when they have a trauma trigger or something along those lines. But in order to do this, we don't really need to go over the whole brain, just really what are the three parts that are impacted the most around trauma is sort of the key to learn. We don't really need to get bogged down in all the different aspects of the brain, just these sort of main parts. So if we got your hand as the brain, this sort of part here, we have the neocortex. So this is where a lot of your evaluation, sort of rational functioning, thinking brain sort of thing. Um, it's this part. So when you're making decisions, trying to decide between a chocolate chip cookie or a piece of cake, in my case, I might have both, but you will use this part of your brain to sort of weigh up your options, which one you're going to take. Now, when this part is offline, we have the thumb here, which is fight or flight section, the emotional section. This is the limbic system. So this is what gets triggered when you're having a trauma response. So when you're having a trauma response, this front part of your brain goes offline. You don't need to really think that way, and you're only fight or flight. You're kind of reacting from this part of the brain. The example I like to use is a house fire. If you're in the middle of a fire, you're not like analyzing, where's the fire coming from? How big is the fire? How hot is it? Oh, how much smoke is there? Oh, what, you're not really doing all of that. You are just like fight or flight. How do I get out? And that's why you practice fire drills during the day when there isn't a fire, so that when your front part of your brain is offline, you remember the drill and you can act quickly, okay? So this is mainly when young people are acting out, the trauma triggers, this front part goes off line and they're fight or flight and having very reactionary here. Now my forearm here is the brain stem. Now that's when this is offline, the limbic system is offline, and that's your freeze. So young people acting from the part of the brain stem, they may disassociate. Mothers may disassociate when the violence is happening at home, because they go in that freeze state because they can't fight. They don't want to fight the young person because that makes it worse. They can't leave because they got to make sure everybody's safe, so they freeze. And some mothers may disassociate when there's violence at home and not remember it. Young people may dissociate as well. So that's sort of your freeze. So those three main areas, you're sort of the front part of your brain, which is that rational, evaluative side, right here. The middle, the limbic system, right there, the fight or flight, which is kind of activated during these trauma responses. And then the brain stem, which may also get activated as part of a trauma response, but mainly is your freeze response. So when we're going to do activities around these, we're going to look at how do we help manage those? How do we help ground people? And that will be later in the chapters. But it's important to keep the trauma in mind, because a lot of your work with attachment isn't only helping the relationship from a beliefs point of view, but it's also really going to help the relationship so that mom can do all of the emotional regulation and trauma-related work that's going to help out with that side of the violence as well.